Okay, today's a little departure from our regular. No, I didn't mean that. And it is, I'm going to talk about a question that was supposed to happen to me this week. In fact, it didn't happen just because my plans got changed. But it's a shiloh I was prepared for just because it was supposed to happen. And that is, that as you all know here, I went to Taiwan this week. And I left on Sunday. And my schedule was to come back on Thursday. Thursday was Taiwan's Esther. And that brought up a question, which was, my schedule was to leave Taiwan on Thursday morning, 11:30 on Thursday morning. I would get back to Chicago on Thursday afternoon. But in the interim, in between my leaving I would leave Taiwan on 11:30 on Thursday morning. I would land in San Francisco at 6 o'clock in the morning on Thursday morning. Okay, that is to say, before I left, so to speak. And when I land in San Francisco, the fast would be about to start again. Okay, and the question was whether I should fast twice or once, or which one, exactly what I should do about that fasting, because the fast of Taiwan's Esther was going to essentially happen to me 2 times. Okay, so that's the question. In fact, I ended up traveling on Wednesday and avoided the shiloh, and I fasted yesterday like regular. But I'm going to explain what the question was.
And this is a compounded question because it's Taiwan's Esther.
I'm going to mention that point. I am going to talk about that. So there's a couple of complications. So I'm going to talk about it, but I'm going to first take a few minutes just to explain what the question is. Okay, why such a strange thing could happen? I mean, I didn't take the Concord. It wasn't like I could go back in time. So first to just explain what the question could be, which has to do with the dateline. So I'm going to explain just what that is for a few minutes, and we'll get to the actual shiloh itself. Okay, and that is like this. Okay, this is a map of the world. Okay, and we're going to look at the map and try to explain what it means that we have a dateline. It's done like that on purpose. Most people are used to maps in the other direction, so I did it. But after it's worth it to have the map this way. And then it's like question is like to explain what the dateline is. I'm going to just go through just a visual, just to help explain. Okay, right now, let's say, or soon it will be 11 o'clock here in Chicago. Okay, it's Friday and it's 11 o'clock in Chicago. If we go back to LA, it's now 9 o'clock on Friday. Okay, and when we keep going around the world, we go to Hawaii. That means to say that they're 2 hours behind LA, so it'll be 7 o'clock on Friday in Hawaii, which would tell us that if we go back another 6 hours, it'll be 1 a.m. on early, so to speak, Friday morning in Beijing. Okay, they're 6 hours behind them. Okay, if we go back another 6 hours, we'll find out that it's going to be 7 o'clock at night on Thursday night in Yerushalayim. Okay, another 2 hours behind that, it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon on Thursday in London. If we go back another 5 hours behind that, it's going to turn out that it's 5 o'clock it's noon on Thursday in New York, which tells us that it's actually 11 o'clock in the morning in Chicago. Okay, which of course is ridiculous. Okay, because we started off that it was 11 o'clock on Friday in Chicago. Okay, if we go around like this, we're going to find out that makes no sense. It's not possible. It can't be 11 o'clock on Friday and 11 o'clock on Thursday in the same place. What? And we can go the other way. If you'd rather it be Shabbos morning, and if you'd rather time for Chol, we'd go the other direction, go eastwards around the world, and we'd find out that it's 11 o'clock on Shabbos morning. Okay, so that just brings out the point that it can't be that we could just keep going right or left, east or west, and keep finding out what time it is based on the hours this way and that way. It works if you go from here. If you go from here to New York, you say, okay, they're an hour ahead of us. We go from here to LA, they're 2 hours behind us. But something's wrong about what I'm showing you. Okay, it's obviously it's not possible that it's 11 o'clock on Friday and 11 o'clock on Thursday at the same time.
And another way of saying this is, two groups would have traveled the opposite way around the globe. Mm-hmm. Immediately after Shabbos being different days.
That's correct. And which, of course, is the plot, which is the whole chap of the plot. I hope I'm not ruining for anybody in the book of 80 Days Around the World. Okay, if anybody's read the book, that's the whole chap of the book is he has his whole trip to make it around in 80 days. He has to make it around, and he misses it by just a drop. But in the end, he actually wins because he crossed the dateline, and his 80 days ended up being he made it there just in time instead of the correct correction. Yes. Okay. Anyhow, so that's the. But there's got to be that there's something's going on over here. Okay. So that tells us is that there's some place where if you stand, there's a place where there's in the same spot. It's noon on Monday and noon on Tuesday in the same place. There's a line someplace. Okay. Well, a date line someplace that tells us that over here it's Monday and over here it's Tuesday. Even though those places are just 1 foot apart from each other. Okay, so if we look at this chart, this is the pretend chart. The truth is of those days is that really, if we look at the chart in Beijing, it's not 1 a.m. early Friday morning. It's really 1 a.m. on it's on Shabbos already. And Yerushalayim, it's already Shabbos. At 7 o'clock, Shabbos just started. And in London, it's Friday afternoon. It's not Thursday afternoon. It's Friday afternoon. It's almost lichbenching in London, according to this thing. Okay? And that tells us is that there is a line someplace. Okay? And where the line is, everyone knows. Back up on that. Previous. Okay. The line is someplace in the Pacific Ocean. Okay? The line is someplace out there in the Pacific Ocean. That everyone agrees that there is a line, and the line is someplace in the Pacific Ocean. Okay, now, just before I continue to the next part, I'm going to tell you, when I was in Taiwan, on Tuesday night, the person who runs the Chabad of Taiwan, who is our mashgiach there, and who I was with, gave a shir. She was about drinking a perm, so I went to the shir. And towards the end of the shir, he made the following point. Okay, he said it from somebody, I don't remember who. He said the reason why you didn't drink schnapps, particularly on Purim. Okay, now I'm not sure if there really is such a thing that you're supposed to drink schnapps or drink wine, but okay, there you go. The reason why he said you're supposed to drink schnapps on Purim is because the reason is because schnapps has an unusual property that if you take schnapps and you put it into this is a thing for the shir on Chabad in Taiwan on Tuesday night. If you put the schnapps into the freezer, it gets really cold, but it doesn't freeze. Okay? It doesn't freeze. He says, and that's a semel for Klal Yisrael, how connected to Purim for whatever reason, that even if you take a yid and you stick him into an environment that's freezing cold, he stays the same. It doesn't make a difference. He doesn't get affected by his environment. A yid stays the way he is. He doesn't care what's going on in the environment. There could be freezing out there, but if a yid is the way he's supposed to be, then he's going to stay a liquid. Doesn't make a difference. Okay, that's it.
From who?
He said it from somebody. I don't remember who.
This guy said it.
The person who runs the Chabad of Taiwan, Arta Mashgiach. His name is Tabib, Shlomi Tabib. He said it over. Anyhow, so the reason why I'm saying that right now is, that has to do with my story, is that the governments of the world have made a decision where they think the timeline should be. Okay, that's called the international dateline. I'm sorry, the dateline is. We're going to ignore that piece of information. They also think it's in the Pacific Ocean, but what they think is really not relevant to the din over here. There's two main sheets about where it should be, and that's what we're going to talk about. We're not going to talk about the international dateline. Okay. So, someplace in the Pacific Ocean, there's a dateline. Okay? Now, there's a lot of places in the Pacific Ocean. The Pacific Ocean is not just a big empty body of water. Okay? There's a bunch of places in the Pacific Ocean. Okay? I circled for you 5 groups of islands. There are more, but the 5 groups of islands that are there in the Pacific Ocean. And the question is going to be, okay, well, the line is in there someplace. Well, wherever you put the line, an island could be on this side of the line or that side of the line. Okay, so we need to understand this. Well, which side is it on? Okay, so that's what the sheets are going to be about. Which side the line is going to be on. And that's like this. Okay. The first sheet is, the first thing we need to know is where Yerushalayim is. Okay, Yerushalayim is over there, where I circled it. For purposes of the way we work, it's a 35th degree east longitude. Okay? Longitude is measured from someplace in England, and that's the 35 degrees.
Greenwich.
Yes. 35 degrees east. Okay. Now, the 2 main cheetahs, there's a third cheetah, but the 2 main cheetahs are, the first is the Chazon Ish says, he brings a raya from a Baal Mar in Rosh Hashanah, that the dateline is 90 degrees east of Yerushalayim. Okay? So that puts us at 125 degrees east. Okay, that's what the Chazon Ish says the line should be in theory. That's what, in theory, the line should be. It's based on a Baal Mar having to do with Kiddush HaChodesh. And he says the line should be, but the truth is, he says, if you look at the line, look at it, it means it runs right down the middle of the street, in the middle of China. Okay, Rabbi Heber can tell you exactly what street it is. Okay, the street runs right down the middle of a street. So to come out, he says the Chazon Ish says it's not shayach that it could be that on one side of the street it's Shabbos, on one side it's Sunday or Monday and Tuesday. It can't be such a thing that runs down the middle of the street. So the Chazon Ish says the truth is that the line curves around the land masses that it's connected to. Okay? So the line, in theory, goes at 125 degrees, but the yellow line shows what the truth is. It really goes around. Of course, I didn't draw it exact, but it goes around the land. It runs around the land. All those land, any land mass that's on the west side of the line, it gets included in also.
And this comes from the Baal Mar.
The Baal Mar doesn't say that part. That's the Svara. That's the Svara. The Baal Mar says that it's 6 hours east of Yerushalayim. Okay? That's to do with Kiddush HaChodesh. The Chazon Ish says, and it's understood that it can't possibly just be such a mamash like running down the middle of a piece of land, so it must be whatever's on the land masses that are subsumed into whatever's on the west side.
So why are the islands included in the, like...
What?
Why aren't the islands like Mavatal to the landmass? Like, why?
So you could argue that the islands that are really close to the land should also be included for the same svara. The Chazon Ish says no. The Chazon Ish says the svara goes that for the land. It can't be that in the middle of the land there's a break. But once you cross the land, no, of course they're not in the Tchum. Once you leave the land. So for example, according to Chazon Ish, if you can't, which I tell people, you can't go fishing on Sunday in some of these countries, because if you go fishing, you go into Shabbos. What?
In a boat.
Well, yes, I meant go off the land. Yes, I'm sorry. That's
even if you're on the
okay. I don't know what happens if you're on the land. Okay, that's way too complicated. Okay, if you get into a boat, all of a sudden it's Shabbos. Okay, so that's it.
That's because there's nothing going on over there.
Okay,
That was the reason they did it.
Okay.
So he says, here's Shabbos.
Here's Shabbos.
I mean, here's like a Sunday, but here is full Shabbos.
Yeah.
Even further east, even
Right.
here.
That's correct.
So here's
Yes.
Day ahead.
Yes. Even though if they go onto the west coast of that thing that's sticking down there, that's.
What's that? If there was an island in that peninsula, beneath
Japan.
in that
No.
harbor,
You mean, if we go to this, I don't know if this is Korea. I don't know what this is. If you went onto the west coast of this landmass, it would be the day before in the water. In the water. Okay, that's the way it is. Okay, so the line actually goes. You're saying like this. Yeah. I didn't draw so beautifully. I mean, it was a whole pashka to draw it this way, man. You know, I didn't draw so beautifully. Okay, so now that's what the Chazon Ish says. Okay, that's one shita. Okay, and the other shita says that no, it's not 6 hours east of Yerushalayim. It's 12 hours. Yerushalayim is exactly in the center of the earth, and so it's on the other end of Tukachinsky, and many other Gedolei Yerushalayim at that time said that it's
not how you spell it.
Okay, there's a lot of ways to spell his name. You can spell his name however you like it, okay?
and Alaska is divided.
I don't know if that's wrong.
Okay, and he says the line is 12 hours, halfway around the world, which comes out to be, which is 145 degrees west. Okay, you could do the math.
Road in Alaska, which is 2 sides.
Now,
Remember, you're in Chicago, so you have to quote Rebbe Chaim Zimmerman.
I'm saying two sheetas. Okay? You can say whichever sheet you like afterwards. So the what he holds about whether the land mass is on Bump or not Bump, I don't know. Okay? I don't know if he spoke about it. It's not such a negation, Shaila, because I mean in Alaska it's sort of. I mean I guess there are people in Alaska. But I'm saying it's not the same as some of these other places. But and I don't think he talks about that. Okay, it can't be held exactly in the Chazon Ish, but it could be maybe similar. Okay, so now that's very nice. So we have these two main sheetas. Okay, so. We have now to think about a bunch of islands that I mentioned to you before and fall into the middle of the sheetas. Okay, Japan is at 138 degrees east. Okay, it's on the right in between the two of them. Okay, and New Zealand's at 174 degrees
What
east.
is in Australia?
So the Chazon Ish says Australia is Tafel to the west.
The yellow line.
See where the yellow line goes?
To the east.
Tafel to the west. Since some of the land is on the west side,
So to the west.
so the whole thing gets tufled to the west. I don't know why. I guess that's the ikker part of it. Everything gets tufled to the west.
What is in Australia?
Yes, everybody agrees that Australia is on the west side of the line because everybody agrees that that's where it is. Everyone says that it's on the west side of the line. So everyone, and the Australia is more than New Zealand. Okay, so New Zealand, and then
You point to Australia?
Australia.
So the earliest here.
Australia's earliest is Australia. Okay. Everyone puts Australia on the west side of the line.
East of Earth Israel.
Eretz Yisrael. What?
East of Earth.
East of Eretz Yisrael, yes. Okay, and then the Aleutian Islands.
And Hawaii.
Give me a second.
I'm sorry.
Give me a second. The Aleutian Islands. Okay, the Aleutian Islands in Japan we passed on the way to Taiwan. Okay, we went that route. We passed the Aleutian Islands and Japan on the way to Taiwan. And last is Hawaii. Okay, and Hawaii, these bunch of islands fall right in the middle of these two sheetas, okay? And those two lines are places that it's a suffix. I mean, some sheets hold this way, some that way. So, for example, if you ask most Rabbanim what to do, they would tell you not to be in these places for Shabbos, okay, or Sunday, okay? To not be in these places, we'll figure out which one it is, but it's a suffix by which day is Shabbos over there, okay? When I worked at the OU, they would ask the Shaila, by giving hashgacha on a cruise that went to Alaska, okay? And they said, no, we won't give hashgacha. We won't give hashgacha if it goes over the days that are possibly Shabbos. There was even talk tonight and even on a regular day because of Shiloh about davening. Okay, but so what just to say is when you go in these Aleutian Islands, when you go on a tour around that area, you can go in and out of the date line at any time. The line goes all the way across. Okay, the islands go all the way around. So now the good news is, or the beginning of the good news is that Taiwan is just on the other side of the Chazon Ish's line. Okay, Taiwan is at 121 degrees east. Okay, the line is 125 degrees. Okay, so it's just on the other side of the line. Okay, so in Taiwan they know for sure what day it is. Whatever Yidden there are, Rabbi Tabib and his friends, everyone says that's what it is. Okay, so now we understand. That took longer than I thought, but that's the what the date line is. Okay, so another question is like this. I leave Taiwan. I was supposed to leave for Taiwan on Thursday at 11:30. Okay, so what would happen if a person crossed the date line? Okay, wherever you think the date line is, he crossed the date line in the middle of Shabbos. He crossed the date line in the middle of Pesach. In the middle of any day where a day is of some significance. Okay, it's of some significance what the day is. Okay? No, Sirius Harm is its own special question. I'm not talking about Sirius Harm. Okay, what is the questions on Shabbos or Pesach, something like that? Okay, so the Chazon Ish said that if a person crosses the line and he goes from Shabbos to Friday, let's say, Shabbos to Friday, you don't have to keep Shabbos anymore. He could do Malacha. Okay, if he crosses over and it becomes not Yom Kippur, he can eat. Okay, I'll take that back. He can do Malacha. Okay, what happens if he crosses over from Pesach to not Pesach? He can eat Chametz. So the other way around. If he crosses from I'll talk about eating in a second. He goes from weekday. He walks from weekday to from not Pesach to Pesach. Now he has to eat matzah. Okay, when he crosses the line, whatever the day is, it becomes the new day. It becomes Yom Tov or not Yom Tov, whatever it is. All those kinds of malachas can be. So, a lot of what I'm going to tell you now is going to come to two tshuvas that I saw about the question, my actual question. One a sefer called B'Tzel Chachma from someone who lived in Australia, and the other one from a sefer from even more contemporary sefer from someone called Tarach Yisrael. I believe someone lives in Lakewood. Excuse me? Okay. So it says like this. So the person who wrote the sefer Tarach Yisrael wrote to Reb Chaim Kanievsky and said to him, "Tell me. So if I cross the line and it's a tainus, like I was going to do, he says, you cross the line when it's a tainus, do you have to keep on fasting? He says, if it will become Sunday, you could do malacha. So if I cross the line, can I stop fasting also? And the obvious answer was going to be that, of course, you could stop fasting. And Chaim Kanievsky said, no, you have to keep on fasting. So I'll tell you the details in a second, but they had this conversation like 5 times. He keeps saying, so I wrote to him like this, and every time I guess he told him the same answer. Listen, like, I got the question, I understood what you want to say, and the answer is no, yes, you have to keep on fasting.
Okay? He said why?
I'm going to tell you, just give me a second. Okay? And he said the reason why he said is, now, when they asked Rav Steinberg, he said, no, you don't have to fast. Once you cross the line, you don't have to fast. But they asked Chaim Kanievsky said like this.
So we're going from the fast day to
the not fast day
to the fast day?
No, from the fast day to the not fast day. Me, let's say me, when I took off from Taiwan at 11:30, okay, at 12 o'clock I crossed the date line according to the Chazon Ish.
Right.
Okay, it took 2 minutes.
So you're going.
I left on Thursday. I was supposed to leave on Thursday, which was a tainus. 11:30 a.m. on the tainus. Okay, so I woke up in the morning. I would be fasting. At 12 o'clock, I would be crossing the line of the Chazon Ish. Okay, into Wednesday. No. I'd cross the line into Wednesday. Yeah, it wouldn't be the fast anymore. So that means that according to Chazon Ish, I should be able to eat now. You know, you have to keep on fasting. Okay? He has a reason, and the B'Tzel Chachma has a different reason. The same general idea. It is, the Gemara says that if a person goes from a place where they're having a tainus, not a tainus like a Shavas of a Tammuz tainus. A tainus like they had fast because there's sorrow going on. You go from a place that's having a tainus to a place that's not having a tainus. The din is you have to keep on fasting. You have to finish the day fasting. Even though you're in a place that's not fasting, even though you have no reason that you should keep on fasting, there's no fast in this city. Okay? You're mechuyev to keep on fasting. Why? Either it's different variations of it, but it's sort of like once you're makabel on yourself to have a tainus, a tainus is different than other things. Once you're makabel, you're having the tainus, you're mechuyev to have the tainus. And you're makabel to have the tainus. The fact that the tainus, so to speak, disappeared on you, you're mechuyev to have it again.
That's not right. Makabel tainus are certain dates, so it's still the same date, even a different region. Here it's a different date.
He tried that on him. All kinds of, he tried. He kept writing back to it. Right.
Yom Kippur is a question.
So Yom Kippur is a question, right? Yom Kippur, it has nothing to do with Kabbalah, it's just a din. It's din on the day. Okay, so Yom Kippur maybe, but he wrote like 5 times. He kept writing to me, saying, what? He said, but what about this? And what about this? He kept saying, he said, buddy, I told you have to fast. He even tried writing. He says, let's say before the fast starts, I say, I'm only going to fast until I cross out of the dateline. He said, I don't care that either. He wasn't listening. Okay. So he said you got to keep on fasting. Okay, so now, let's say we accept that if the guy's mechuyev to keep on fasting. If I would go on Thursday, he would say, keep on fasting. So now, I have a different question.
Keep on fasting for how long?
Till the sun goes down.
It's very short. It's still very short.
It'll be shorter. Shorter than a regular day. Yes. Now there's two variations of what could happen now. Okay, I told you that I'm going to cross the line half an hour after I leave. Okay, let me back up a second. I told there's a shaila. There's machlokes here. Where the dateline is, the blue line or the green line, or the yellow line or the green line. Which is the dateline? Okay, yellow line or green line. Okay, so we're not going to be able to resolve that question. Okay, when Mashiach comes, it's one of the questions I'll ask him. Okay, where's the real dateline? Where does it didn't think the dateline is? No one's being resolving that question. So what would you do if you had a shaila like this? Okay, so we would say is for a daraisa you'd be machmer, and for a drabanan you're going to be mekel. Okay, so now.
You can make them both ways.
So for the drabanan you're going to be mekel. So if I
make them.
I'm going to tell you. Let me speak it out. So I have a choice. So now, if I want to say which one is to be mekel on this line. So now, if you tell me, now just put that in your head. Okay, I'm going to be mekel. I'll tell you what I mean to be mekel in a second. I have now two choices now. I leave at 11:30. I'm going to cross the Chazanish's line an hour later. Okay, it took even less than an hour. I'm going to cross the date line. I'm going to cross the green line. The green line. I didn't mean that, but I'm going to cross the green line, the Tikkuchinski's line, many hours later. Okay, what happens if I actually finish the whole tinus? I managed to make the whole tinus before I cross the date line, which would mean it's like this: if I pick Tikkuchinski's line, the green line, if I pick the green line, I'll finish the tinus before that happens. So now I'll have fasted a whole day. I fasted from the morning till the night before I cross back into Wednesday. Now would I be mechuyev to fast again the next day? Okay, I already did the tinus. I did a whole tinus. According to Chazanish, I didn't do a whole tinus. According to Chazanish, I only did an hour of a tinus, a few hours of a tinus. According to Kosher, I did the whole tinus. I fasted till it got dark outside. So could I say now I fasted the whole tinus? I did it already. I did my mitzvah already. Okay, so that's what I mean when I said it's a kula for me. I'll be mekel and say that the zman is like the green line, in which case, before I hit that green line, I'll have fasted the whole tinus. That's what I've done. If I woke up in the morning, whatever time, I fasted until it got dark outside, and then hours after it got dark, then I crossed the line into Wednesday. So I did the whole Thursday. I fasted the whole day Thursday. So could I say that I fasted a whole tinus Esther, and I don't have to fast again? I'm getting tired. Yes,
you have the sunrise the next morning.
So the question is, would you say, I did what I have to do?
That's a Chaim thoughts are going to a city that it has Makabal Tinus. You have to be Makabal Tinus with the city.
Okay, so the Gemara actually says the other way, but okay. So you say, I went to a place that was Makabal. Okay, so Rav Steinberg said, of course you should fast again. When you come tomorrow, you wake up. When I woke up, when we landed in San Francisco, it was about to be Nate's. Okay, it was a little bit past Alois. So let's say we were about to hit San Francisco, it was Alois to Shachar. So now it's time Esther again, fast again.
How am I telling on the Chazanish, the blue and green line?
Because what I'm saying is that what I'm saying so far, I'm going to get to that part yet. I'm saying, let's assume that I did a complete fast day. It's an easier question.
You got out of it, you didn't get it.
You'll hear. Because Chaim Kanievsky said, you fasted once, you don't have to fast again. Okay? You did a whole tinus, you don't have to fast again.
You didn't say that.
I just said it. You didn't give me a chance. I said, I fasted a whole tinus. He said, you fasted a whole tinus, you don't have to fast again. So I said, that's why I said the situation. If you did a situation where you fasted the whole tinus, and then you hit the tinus again, you don't have to fast again. Okay? So he says, you did it already. You had a mitzvah to fast. I did the tinus already. Okay? So he has some questions. He says, wait a second. He says, you fasted the whole day. He says, there's actually a din about this. He says, the din is that there's really two parts to a tinus. One part of tinus is, you have to fast. You have a mitzvah, so we'll call it, so to speak, a mitzvah, say you have to fast. But there's also an issur to eat. Okay, what do I mean that there's two parts? The nafkamina to those two parts is, what happens if a person by mistake ate on a tinus? Okay, in the middle, yesterday, at 10 o'clock in the morning, by mistake, I drank a coffee. What will be the din then? The tinus is finished. You're not going to be able to be kind the mitzvah to do the tinus. It's too late. You did it already. Hey, a tinus has to be a full day. You didn't do it. But you're still not allowed to eat. You're still not allowed to eat the rest of the day, and that's because there's an Isra'ila. You're not allowed to eat on this day, even though you're not being Mekayim the tinus. A tinus needs to be a full day. You're not going to be Mekayim the tinus, even so, you're not allowed to eat the rest of the day. So the question is, over here, let's say I did the mitzvah already. I did already the tiniest of tiniest Esther. That's very nice, but I still have an issue to eat. Okay? Chaim said he doesn't care. He doesn't buy that. In other words, the issue to eat is connected to the mitzvah. I did the mitzvah already. I have no issue to eat. A regular person doesn't have that. A normal person can't have that they did the mitzvah, but they don't, and therefore they don't have an issue achila. Okay, that's not a regular person. This is an unusual.
So see, according to Chazanish, I did the fast already. So what if I went out on the line? What does it make a difference?
What do you mean?
You said according to Chazanish, you didn't do a fast. You did a fast. You did a fast as long as the day lasted.
No, okay. That's right. I'm going to get to the chazanish. Give me 1 second. I'm going to talk about that shiloh in a second. Okay, just drop more patience. So in this, he says the guy did the mitzvah already. He's not mechuyev to do it again, and the Isra Achil doesn't apply to him. Okay. Okay. Now the even so, he said a person shouldn't eat in public. A person shouldn't eat in public. It would be inappropriate for the person to eat in public. And he brings as an Abnezer who says that Kenzain, that even if the person would eat in private, would be usher to eat. Even in private, the person shouldn't eat, because if he eats in private, people will see him, will be able to tell that he's fasting. That he's not fasting. If you look at the guy, they'll tell you he's fasting, which was not a problem for me.
Then there's not a problem because there's a bonus of this.
So what?
Well, why Makar should not go by Issa?
So he says, in private, like on the plane, when there's nobody there, it's not, you're not in the city. You're not in the city, then you can eat. So you can eat. He says, but he wants to say from Abnezer that even when you hit the city, even before then you shouldn't eat, because so you'll look like you're fasting. When everyone comes to shul on mincha on the tiniest, they look like they're fasting. You won't look like that; it'll look bad. I didn't have that problem because after 84 hours in Taiwan, I looked like I was fasting. It didn't make a difference what I ate. Okay, it was hopeless. Okay, it was pathetic. So that's what he said. Now we have the other variational question, which really should come first, which is, let's say I did not complete the tinus. Okay, let's say I had not completed the tinus. Let's say either like the Chazanish that I crossed the line right away, or I hit the date line before the sun went down. So then Rav Chaim said, no, you were not Makayim the tinus. Okay, you were not Makayim the tinus. The guy did not do it because the Gemara says called tinus shakal of chama is not considered tinus. So you crossed the line, you would never shakal of chama. You fasted, let's say in my case, I would have fasted from 6 in the morning till noon, okay, and then at noon, the fast ended. It was like shakal of chama. The Gemara uses the word shakal of chama, the sun has to set, not the day is end. So he's reading that into that shakal of chama means the sun actually set on you. The sun didn't set on me, we just ripped me out of the day and stuck me into a different day. Okay. I wasn't sure, but, well, over here, you just told me that I have to fast at the end of the day anyhow. You told me I have to fast at the end of the day. I have to fast at the end of the day, so I really was shakal of chama. But I it was like a sort of funny fasting. What?
It's not the dinner time.
It wasn't the time. I was fasting sort of to the Kabbalah. Okay. Now, the whole thing is complicated by the fact that the tinus, as Levi said, the tinus over here was nitcha. Okay? The tinus that we had this Thursday was not the real day of the tinus. The real day of the tinus is tomorrow. Okay? The day before Purim is, so to speak, the real day of the tinus. Now, it's not clear whether the real day of the tinus is really Shabbos, not even clear, but for sure in this year, Thursday was not the day of the tinus. Thursday was a nitche. Okay, it wasn't supposed to be the tinus. There's reasons to think that the tinus really is to be in Adar, there needs to be a tinus. So Chazal said, okay, let's make it, that's a convenient day to put it the day before Purim. Nothing specific happened today.
It was the day of the war.
Yeah, that's a question, whether it's because of that. The Mechaber talks about fasting 3 times in Adar, just because they had 3 fasts. Not that there had to be dafka on that day. So so over here, if you tell me, I know that the real day of the fast is on Shabbos. Okay, what's the din if a person by mistake ate yesterday? Okay, a guy woke up in the morning, he didn't remember it was the time, so he took a drink. What's the din? The din is he's supposed to fast on Friday. That's what he's supposed to do. Okay, the din is because the fast is really not Thursday. The fast is really Shabbos. We're not kaveh a tinus tzibur on Friday, so they push it back to Thursday. But really, if you didn't do Thursday, then you fast on Friday. So I have a question. If you tell me that I'm going to be mechuyev to fast twice, I'm going to fast from 6 o'clock in the morning till whatever, and then I'm going to have to fast again the next day. Okay? So why should I fast the first day? Why don't I get up on Thursday morning, the first Thursday morning in Taiwan, and say, I know that I have another chance to do this tinus before Purim. I have to fast before Purim. Chazal didn't say do the fast. It was on the Thursday before Purim. I have Thursday. It's coming tomorrow. You don't understand?
What's that?
Why?
It's like a month of Shanaga, that's for sure.
Well, so you mean because the people in Taiwan are fasting, so I have to follow their minhag. There's only one guy, okay? But maybe his wife. I don't know if anybody else fasts in Taiwan, yeah? Whatever. There's some other Yidden, but okay. Okay, so you think I'm stuck. I have to fast on the first day. Even though I know good and well that I'm going to be stuck, according to the way, if I did this the wrong way, I'm going to fast tomorrow also. Okay.
Tiny Seymour is different than the Michael Shinaga kind of?
We would think that it is. We would think that it is, okay? That Chaim Kanievsky is saying not like that. We would think that it is. We think that it has nothing to do with Kabbalahs and those kind of things. It's based on the day, okay? And that's what Scheinberg said. Scheinberg said, he says, it's a day. If the day starts or ends or whatever the day is, you have to fast 2 times. Scheinberg said, fast 2 times. When you cross the line, stop fasting.
The Michael Shinaga that we're, like, it's still the Nagu of the Tiny Seymour. In that situation, we're talking about Michael Shinaga.
Right.
The Michael Shinaga is the Tiny Seymour.
And therefore what?
So I think it'd be a little bit stronger.
It's just stronger.
That I should fast.
Even without Michael Shinaga, it's a 10 times.
So I'm stuck. I wake up in the morning, I have to fast because it's a fast day today. Even though that I know that I have a chance to do it tomorrow. I mean, the guy knows that he has a chance to, well, there isn't like that. What happens if a person's going to be making a bris that day? Okay? So Mishnah talks about, let's say the bris is going to be at 10 o'clock in the morning. Okay? So once the bris comes, he's not going to fast anymore. Okay? The Mishnah has a tzad. I think you're not allowed to do this. He has a tzad, the guy can eat it even before the bris. What?
Because it's inconvenient.
What do you mean inconvenient?
In your case, it's just inconvenient.
Well, I don't have to fast twice.
Right.
But the guy who's a Baal bris, it means at 10 o'clock he knows he's going to be fucking for fasting, so at 8 o'clock he can eat also. Okay, I think the Mishnah ends up not like that, but it's such a tzad that he says, I know that I'm not going to be mechuyev to fast, so I know I have it better. I know I'm going to fast tomorrow, which is going to be today. So, okay, anyhow. So the fact that it's a nitcha seemingly should make it easier. Nobody here seems to like that. I don't think the Chaim Kanievsky like that either. I don't know if they tried that on him. I don't know if they tried that version on him. Okay. So one last thing to mention to you is I'm talking to you about the shiloh that I had going from Taiwan back to Chicago, which would give me 2 days. Okay. The opposite shiloh, if a person went to Taiwan on Thursday, if they would have gone to Taiwan on Thursday or Wednesday, they would have gone into the fast. Okay. That person would have the opposite question, which is on Wednesday morning he got up in San Francisco, he flew to Taiwan, he landed there on Thursday, or he passed onto Thursday into the middle of it. Okay, so that person, once he hits Thursday, should start fasting. The question is, when that person hits Thursday, he starts fasting because now it's a tinus. He's not makayim the fast. Okay, he's not makayim the fast because he didn't have the fast from the morning. Okay, so should we tell that person he should fast? Or he say, yeah, it's Thursday, he should start fasting. Okay, what should he do tomorrow? Okay, what should he do tomorrow? He didn't do the fast. So the din is he didn't start.
It's shaka. That's the whole thing.
It doesn't work like that. If you eat from till 10 o'clock in the morning, you can't say, okay, now I'm fasting the rest of the day.
As soon as he went into Thursday,
as soon as Thursday started, okay, I don't believe it works like that. That's why my impression works like that. So the guy, I had a different thought. So I'm saying to you, maybe you should have to fast on Friday. I have a different thought. This is a funny idea. Because the guy usually if you miss a tinus tzibur, there's no tashlumin. There's no tashlumin because you missed the day. Okay, if let's say I missed Shabbos Tammuz, I didn't fast. I can't fast the next day because that's Shabbos Tammuz. Tinus Esther, you can actually, because if you didn't fast on Thursday, you could fast on Friday. Which is to say, there's nothing really wrong with having tashlumin, to making it up for it. It's just that you can't make it up because you missed the day. So what about this guy? Could he fast? Could he start fasting on Wednesday morning? Could he do pre-tashlumin? What I mean is like this. If he would not eat from Wednesday morning, now it's not a fast day, but if he would not eat from Wednesday morning, he'll get the whole Thursday. He'll have fasted the whole day. From the morning, from August, all the way till night, till Shkia. Okay? I thought it was a little wild.
What about if you leave Japan? Like, if you start in Taiwan, you start in Japan.
Then what's your question?
It's the same. You would have to pass twice.
No, so if you're in Japan, you have then you're on one side line, according to Chazanish, you could say that would be Mako, according to Chazanish, and say it was Wednesday when I left. It's the Rabbanon, it's a minute, people left the Rabbanon. So you could say, I left Japan, I'll say it was Wednesday when I left Japan.
You're not going to fast in the morning.
I don't have to fast at all. I could be Mako. If you live in Japan, you can't say that. You have to pick a day and fast one of the days. But if the guy's leaving Japan on Wednesday, he's going to be in San Francisco on Thursday, they'll say, I'll fast tomorrow.
Why say it's Rabbanon? Maybe it's different Kabbalah, isn't it?
It's even less. It's less than the Raisa. The Raisa would be machmir. The Rabbanon I could be. So I say,
but it's somewhere in the middle. It's not a different Rabbanon. It's from the.
Okay, I think
no.
It's even less. It's less than it's even a minute. It's not even a Rabbanon. Okay, so it's so a guy from Japan would have easier shiloh. Okay, I was for sure on the west side, and Taiwan is for sure on the west side of the line. Okay, Japan is in between the lines. They have a different question.